all the cows off the calves, hold the calves. That way, whenever we run through the chute, we can separate them. We can do whatever we need to do. If anybody wants to buy the cows are over here. All the calves we'll take back to the house and wean them off the mamas, and then turn the little bitty babies back out with the mama. Basically what we're doing.
Vaccinating the cattle.
These are the vaccinations for the cattle.
And we have anthrax. And we have the warmer.
This is the 7-way.
And that's the 7-way. So they need all this stuff, and we do this probably twice a year.
I'm Bill Guffey. I work for Texas Parks and Wildlife. I'm Texas Parks and Wildlife's herd ranger.
I'm Sonny Dedmer, and I'm the current president of Cattlemen's Texas Longhorn Registry, CTLR, and I'm from South Texas.
My name is Lawrence Wallace, and these Longhorn cattle are some cattle that myself and Fayette Yates put together this herd, and then Mr. Yates sold the cattle out to me and also sold me his daddy's brand, which was Cap Yates' brand, the upside down Y.
I'm Debbie Davis. I am past president of the Cattlemen's Texas Longhorn Registry. I have raised Texas Longhorn cattle since 1991.
My name is Frank Sharp, and I'm on the board of the CTLR as well as on the board of the CTLC.
The goal of the Cattlemen's Texas Longhorn Registry is to preserve historically correct, genetically pure Texas Longhorn cattle. We maintain herds of cattle that are of Spanish descent that look most closely to those animals that went up the trail in the 1870s.
CTLR is an acronym that stands for Cattlemen's Texas Longhorn Registry. CTLC, which is a sister organization to the CTLR, stands for Cattlemen's Texas Longhorn Conservancy.
I raise and own about a 60 mama cow herd of old-timey, pure historic Longhorn cattle.
Okay, the Longhorn cattle, again, it's kind of common knowledge that they're known by such terms as nature's cattle. You know, they're a product of survival of the fittest. Doing some research, those original cattle that were on the southern plains of Spain and Portugal, they were kind of range cattle over there. So they were kind of naturally adapted to the terrain when they got it, you know, over here in the New World, in Mexico and again in Texas.
Well, the state of Texas, when it was first getting for them, had no money. And these cattle brought money into the state of Texas and got Texas off to a great start. And I think that's really the historic importance of them. Not to mention the fact they were different breeds of Spanish cattle that were dropped off by explorers, and they drop them off at rivers, and then the missions came, and each of the missions brought cattle with them, and they were these Spanish cattle. And so it's the historic part of it that's just tremendous about them, I believe.
We're simply a place where historically correct genetically cattle can be registered.
This herd here is an excellent example of a historically correct herd. The cattle are really nice. See a lot of typical Longhorns out here, and the state herd is we're trying to do the same thing with the state herd. What we're trying to do is preserve the historic Longhorn for everyone to come and see. We want everybody to come out to Fort Griffin or San Angelo. We have regular tours. We take these cattle to events around the state. We take a few steers and get to show people what historic Longhorns look like.
The fact that if I'd probably switched over to another breed of cattle, I probably wouldn't be in business.
You know, there's a lot of qualities that they have that you can save off of them. You know, the hides, a lot of people like tanned hides, and a lot of people like the skulls with the twisted horns on them. And so, I mean, they're real, you know, and that's like, you know, in the beef industry, if you walk into a restaurant, you don't see very seldom would ever see a Hereford mounted up there. You see a Longhorn mounted up there with the twisted horns and the stuff, and so they have a meaning to everyone that's in the beef industry. A lot of beef people might even have Longhorn steers or a steer, or, you know, that signifies beef. It signifies beef. When you go in a restaurant, it's signifying beef, that head up there. It's not signifying an exotic, you know.
It is important to the CTLR that these animals continue to exist for historical purposes, for education of new generations, to understand that these animals help form this country and the history of this country. They help save the state of Texas from ruin after the Civil War. They evolved in this country, and they're one of the few breeds of bovine in the world that actually evolved unencumbered by man.
I think that there's not a better, everything that A&M has been trying to do, the Longhorn cattle already had it. It's a lower cholesterol, it's higher in unsaturated fat and lower in saturated fat, and it's a healthy meat, and it has its own flavor.
The unique part of a Longhorn is a breed that was developed here in Texas, right here where we're sitting, from here to the Red River, by nature. It was not developed by man. There was not any selection by man. It was developed by nature over several hundred years. So they are uniquely adapted to this area. So that's what we're aiming for.
But I just feel great about raising something that has a historic value to it, and is something that's very special. I mean, it's a real special animal.
That needs our help.
Right, and it makes me feel like a real special person to be able to do something like that.